Ramden Sheba Rajumba Yanda Zobe Sanji Riba Da Shazo Demba Devara Sheba Jidin Jimba Jo Ala Meba Nana Mina Jidumba Sanji Jumden Debe Jawa Shaja Tuba La Chaza Lo Chodo Jabzo Je 제 간이 조 최담 제 사진 데라 공반 동본 아니 지된데 나 조제 손 대제 제와 제라 차절로 지엔다라 담베 든젠제 마나 This kindness goes to one and only Lama Selingpa. So now, as we are the follower, and coming? Oh, okay. This quotation is the one of the such a great reminder for all of us why this place, Morajampi, known as where Lama Selingpa is based, practice bodhicitta, and his practice drawn audacious intention and at that time to travel from India where Adisha is staying to reach here takes almost 1 year and 1 month. And even though Adisha at that time is such a well-known great practitioner, bodhicitta practitioner, known as a bodhisattva, when he heard of the qualities of Lama Selingpa, so then he actually left everything. Even he wanted to sacrifice his own life and to come here. At that kind of a mindset, for people like us, if we are well known as a bodhisattva and your practice is quite going smoothly, and then we always feel to like now it's time to do a retreat and have some time for ourselves. But Adisha has a different mindset. So what does that really mean, that even Adisha has lots of teachers, but then he says Lama Selingpa is the one of the main one. Also, that I did quite a research with some lamas, even like the case of our Guru, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He has lots of teachers, but when he talks about Khudu Lama Rinpoche, that's in a very different state. He says, when I listen to his teaching, then before he is thinking, once I had a quite good understanding on emptiness, then I will take a quite a good rest. But then he listened to the teaching from Khudu Lama Rinpoche, which the text is the way of Bodhisattva's life. Even he received it from other teachers. But when he received this teaching from Khundo Lama Rinpoche, then he thought like, now there's no time to relax. For my own good, even I cannot sleep well if I cannot do something for the mother-centered beings. That gave him such a great push. And that goes similar to at the time of Adisha's time. So we can connect these two pictures together. So we could, logically can say we have the modern understanding of Lama Adisha and the Silingpa's version in the time of His Holiness and us, and the previous generation, time of Adisha and Silingpa. So now what to take away from this is something in the Sutra and Tantra, everywhere you look at it. If you don't meet the right teacher, the right teacher does not mean that Lama is qualified, has a compassion, and you have such a devotion, but there's karmic connection, very important. If that karmic connection is not ripened, then even you have a Buddha in front of you, and you have such a devotion, that doesn't come together. So the karmic connection is so wonderful. So that's something we need to keep in our mind. And whenever we set on the journey of finding Dharma into day-to-day life, and not it is just okay to pray like, may I find the right teacher who is qualified. That right, you have to put something which I have a karmic connection. You need to emphasize that. So the right karmic connection, even he is not Buddha, even he is just like a one. Because when I was traveling from aeroplane, easy journey, but I was admiring the Adisha's trip, because he is enjoying more than we are enjoying on the airplane. He's always there like, could I meet Lama Silingpa in this life? Could I really can get this, achieve this bodhicitta? This is more concern than what about what will happen to my life. Can I make to Morajampi or not? Can I have a good coffee? That wasn't his concern. His main concern was, can I meet Lama Silingpa? More important is that bodhicitta. Because he has already kind of have this kind of smell already. So once you feel this smell, that's very important. That's why we are studying, not jumping on practice. Because many of us, we go on the practice before we smell something. So then we sometimes get tired so easily. But when you smell something through the studies, and then once you jump towards it, then it's more kind of a fun, a joy. Put in a better vocabulary, it's the joy. Effort comes naturally. Not that we need to put some kind of a push ourselves, and then it does not last long. Why I'm saying this, I have some kind of a support or a quotation from Lama Tsongkhapa. So in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, which in the Lamrim Chimong, Stages of Path, in there he says, the person who will really understand why that, who has curiosity that why Lama Adisha has to go to all the way to Siling to meet Silingpa, people who does not have a quite understanding on the sutras and some kind of knowledge on the scriptures of the Buddha, they won't get some kind of understanding there. So he just give us the hint. It is, I think it's in the where he talks about Guru devotion. Then he emphasized why the analytical meditation is so important to bring the power of the focus meditation, shamatha. So this is why I decided to use my own thesis, which I presented that last year in the Adisha conference. So, because due to the kindness of the mother sentient beings, they requested me to give a thesis. This is a kind of my first kind of writing, something on a very precious subject, which is the bodhicitta. And then did quite a research and received some teachings from my teachers about how this effort of Adisha going all the way to Siling in here in Indonesia becomes so important for the people who wanted to practice bodhicitta. So this I did a quite research, and then I submitted to the organizer, but then I really don't know how they're going to use this or not. Then I'm trying to be clever, so I said let's go through this, and then maybe also it's kind of a self-promotion. So little bit of self-cherishing is here, still in Morajambe. Yeah. Deshairo. So you guys can read in the English version. I can. I focus more in the Tibetan language, so I have brought my own thing here. Di mar pabdu, tin digmidu, digmidu. 동년 인지 송도 주배람 지지 선생 간신 된저근 차는 띵진 자조로 소원도 주신들 흔도 쇼. So in the homage, I put His Holiness Dalai Lama there because our karmic connection, where we receive most of the teaching in this planet, who holds the bodhicitta lineage? That's not other than His Holiness Dalai Lama. So how much you can appreciate Adisha and the Silingpas lineage if you don't appreciate His Holiness, our root Guru, and then the lineage is, the flow isn't there. So I put this homage to His Holiness. Now then there, I also mentioned briefly, I'm not going to read A to Z. So saying now, because most of us, when we are in a good mood, we feel like quite a strong energy after having a good coffee. And then you feel like, oh, I wanted to help sentient beings, generate bodhicitta. We say mother sentient beings. Like we get used to this, but with a less feeling. And then after a few minutes later, few hours later, so then we become like we have always feel disconnected from yourself. The person who talks so much about mother sentient beings, you disconnect from yourself and you feel like I'm worthless, I cannot do that, and then why this has to happen to me, all this thing. So then that person wanted to bring a world peace. So there's huge contradiction. So to fill this gap, the most important is, of course, we can approach towards bodhicitta. But first of all, the goal to help other sentient being or yourself, the goal is same. Unless you cannot control your negative emotions, unless you cannot take down the root of all the negative emotions, and then how much you say, I wanted to help sentient beings, it is kind of aspirational, but you cannot never engage. So now we have to bring a kind of practice, not only to inspire or something, but to engage into it. So be practical. So that means first you need to learn how to tame your mind. That's why Buddha said, what is my teaching? My whole teaching is, if you can tame your mind completely, he said not to just tame a mind. He said, tame your mind completely, then that's my teaching. So in order to do that, so the person who normally reside Sangye Chösoma, taking a refuge in the bodhicitta, that person has to have a good habit of how to tame your mind. Tame your mind, not train. Tame. So that in this paragraph, I make a highlight of that. So if you look at the Adisha's story, somewhere there I put there, oh, there's mother sentient being on my glasses. Oh, the green spider. Never seen a green spider in my life. Yeah. So now it is so important normally in our day-to-day life when we start practicing Dharma. First, I think you need to know how to complain, because normally we complain, but we are not really good in how to complain it very well. So this is the first tip, because the person who can complain, that also Buddha's first teaching on the Four Noble Truths, the first thing when he talked about the suffering, that's how he teaches how to complain in our life. He taught like we always complain on suffering. When we are suffering, when we suffer, we complain. If there's no suffering, we don't complain. But we complain like something we need some outsider cause. We will never complain. That is something to do with you. You are perfect, and there are some external cause and conditions that makes your life miserable. That's how we complain. Buddha's complaint is way different than that. He never said there isn't any problem which is a cause or a condition from outside. The main thing why we are suffering. Then he said that is something, our mindset, that we never, even many practitioners who them, we a person like myself, complain so much. We never complain like Buddha once he did. So that's something we need to learn. So some kind of problem, like a headache or something, then we never complain like, oh, because I have this kind of body and this kind of causes and condition, and that kind of emotion is with me, and then I met this outside problem. Then if the causes and conditions meet, the problem is there. So why complain? And then he uses this kind of logic and reason. Because in the debate system, we always say if there is a smoke, that always indicates there is a fire before that. Get used to it. We know that. Similarly, whenever there is a problem, emotional, or you're really suffering, that means that's something that you are holding to this kind of a problem very strongly. That's a much worse problem than the person or the outsider problem. Because you hold to this idea, hold to this kind of object, hold this kind of a problem, like you are only one who is suffering in this world, which is not like that actually. So this is something in the Four Noble Truths. The first one, the Buddha said, know the suffering. Sounds like if we know it, then Buddha does not need to tell us, know the suffering, because we already know it. Because something in that kind of picture of suffering, we are not knowing it well. So that's why Buddha says, know it, know the suffering. Before meeting one of my teachers, I always try to practice so well. But then after meeting this incredible teacher in my life, my practice, way of doing my practice changed. Before, I always rush towards antidote. With the attitude of, I'm doing well, I'm doing great, but I like bodhicitta. I like renunciation. I'm doing well, I'm fine. But renunciation sounds good, I like it. That doesn't work. My teacher always emphasized that on me. If you say that you like renunciation, then how much you disgust towards samsara. That means how much you discuss with your five aggregates, not pointing out the outsider problem. Because what is the most important, the example of the samsara is your five aggregates. So we never complain about our five aggregates. So that's the one thing. That's why Buddha said, if you wanted to be a good practitioner, then that similar way of thinking, that it is similar to think, how can I become to know yourself as a patient. Once you find the disease or sickness, then how much you are rich, how much you are highly qualified Lama or Rinpoche you are. And once you get sick, then you will rush towards to find the antidote. And then even you have to give up everything, sacrifice everything for that. You will do it. All the billionaires do it, millionaires do it. Lama Adisha did it. Because he has this feeling, I feel there's nobody need to teach Lama Adisha at the time when he is looking for this antidote. Nobody needs to tell him that he has a feeling as a patient looking for an antidote. But for us, the problem here that we cannot become exactly as Lama Adisha's feeling here, even though we are now on the same place, but which we cannot connect at the Lama Adisha's way of feeling. That's why I offer all the kata in front of you. I said, please feel that you're like Adisha today and offer this to Silingpa. Because the main feeling, Adisha is such a great, such a renowned master in the Nalanda and the Takshashila. And then when he came here, he never had this kind of pride that I am a great, I have billions of followers in India. Never. When he just came here, or he might have suffered a lot. But then he does not have that kind of pride. Why? No room for it, because he feels I am a patient. I really need this Dharma so strongly. That Dharma is not to bring down the negative emotions only. That he is good with it, because his view is such greater than the Lama Silingpa already. So he knows how to tame your mind very strongly. But to apply this antidote to all the mother sentient beings, it takes quite an effort. Even though he knows the logics and the reasons and all these studies and the texts that he already learned and practiced day and night, but someone who is naturally gifted, that he can practice like, it's like part of like breathing. Nobody has to put effort to take a breath. So that kind of practice is already there in Indonesia at that time. So natural. So just staying with the Lama Silingpa, that comes quite naturally. So that kind of environment he is trying to look for here. So the main kind of the chronic disease that Adisha, when he is coming here on this island, this kind of hospital, he has a difficulty to bring down the self-cherishing. So in the Guru Puja, in Lama Chapa, there it says this self-cherishing is like a chronic disease. That comes from Adisha. So now in this island, for 5 days, 4 or 5 days we have a time now, for let's say 4 days, right? So emphasize more to think what is some disadvantages of holding yourself so dearly, which is self-cherishing. I don't mean we shouldn't love ourselves, we shouldn't respect ourselves. But this self-cherishing mind, what it becomes the obstacle to connect with other people. So I give you one hint. If you think like I cannot help that person, Even you have a strong motivation, you feel like I cannot do it. That becomes self-cherishing. Normally we don't say that. It's your choice. And somebody will tell you, you did your best and you cannot, now it's not in your hands, now you take a rest. But here, for Bodhisattvas, their master always tells them, that's self-cherishing. I cannot do it. I don't have an ability to think like that. That becomes a self-cherishing. So that's why in this my thesis, it will we will discuss a bit more in coming days, and most importantly, keep this in mind, because if you really wanted to help the mother sentient beings, that start with one sentient being. Start with the one sentient being, not the one difficult one, because you already put some kind of a huge boundary there. So with in a kind of in the middle, not so much attachment there, not so much aversion there, still in the middle, and try as much as you can help, and then slowly you will feel limited on the resources, like a generosity practice, patience, of course, patience. Always you will complain just within maybe just a few hours or a few months, of course. And then as the power of the bodhicitta, and it says, Teyata gadi gadi, para samgadi, Buddha is soha. Now that's why. It really emphasizes, that's the time you say, like, I wanted to become stronger and stronger and stronger. Today I did this, I cannot do it. Somehow there will be some possibility I can help that. Not like I cannot do it. So then at the top it comes like Buddha Soha. That means like I want to be, there's so much effort I need to put in. May I become effortless. That is the no more learning. That's called fully enlightenment. So in order to get this kind of fully enlightenment, now you need to know quite the great qualities of how to become a Buddha. Not we are talking of, not we are not discussing anything much about liberation only now. How to become a Buddha. So in the Tantra, it has its own section to how to become a Buddha. But in a sutra level, there is not a greater text than Abhisamaya Alankara, how to attain Buddha. So now I give you another hint why Lama Adisha has to come on this island. Because in the time of the Adisha in India, I think the degeneration of the Abhisamaya Alankara was already there. So, who is holding this lineage very strongly? It's not other than Silimba. So then, how can we get this through the studies, research? I found two strong quotations, one from Lama Tsongkhapa in his Stages of the Path. In there he says, repeatedly in the sutras and then the Tingyuru, the great treatise, how do you say that? Indian master's work, treatise, sometimes this, the commentaries, Indian great masters' commentaries. they talk so much on to going to the path to path, which they always emphasize on through the meditative occupies to moving to this bhumi to bhumi, path to path. But I rarely see in this text through the mind which holds the bodhicitta, through that how to going to bhumi to bhumi, path to path. It's rarely spoken. Where we can get this is only briefly in the Abhisamaya Alankara. So he put that way because it's a degeneration time in India also. So how could also we know from Adisha, because when I was doing research, I got a book from Tibet. Now I don't know it's available printed in India, but that book when I got, I'm so lazy because before I wasn't reading that book, and then I needed to present the thesis. So then I did a research, and then one day I was just opening the book, and in that somewhere in there's some kind of a small highlighted, somebody highlighted there. So I looked at that, and then it says, so that because this teaching was given by Adisha while he was in Tibet. So if you look at this my thesis, I think it should be on the last one of the last part. Okay, page number 31. In the page number 31. Got it? Okay. So here, if you look at it, it says, Lama Silingpa, Adisha said, Lama Silingpa has passed away. That's a very sad news. Now he continues. I came to Tibet. Even in India, highlight that, huh? Even in India, there was no tradition of training the mind in love and compassion according to, what is that? Paramita system. In the tradition of the secret mantra, there are many who train their minds. So now, two things. The degeneration has started. How Adisha looks at that. He says, there is no tradition of training the mind in love and compassion according to Paramita system, which is in the Abhisamaya Alankara. Even, what does that mean? Even in Tibet, even in India, that refers, also in Tibet there is no one. In India also, in India for sure, now there is no much focus on the love and compassion. Many people these days also we talk about love, compassion, all these great qualities, but not accounting as paramita system. So this we need to highlight. We wanted to follow the Adisha's path. We need to not just take out, just saying like, oh, training the mind and love and compassion. We need to take this whole thing according to paramita. So what does that really mean? So now that goes back to Lama Tsongkhapa's, the quotation I said, the person who does not have a quite good understanding on the paramitas and the sutras, then they really won't know why Lama Adisha has to go to Siling to receive the teaching. We can infer that. And then the second one is In the tradition of secret mantra, this is Tantra. Tantra, there are so many who train their minds. Now, Tantra that is not held by bodhicitta. Tantra which is not held by bodhicitta is not a Buddhist tradition, period. So now, Adisha gives a huge hint on that. So, this is quite a remarkable teaching. In this short sentence, we could really understand. We could really understand, in order to become Buddha, that one should not just rush towards love and compassion, but has to go through the direction according to the paramita system. So now when you receive any teachings from any other gurus, okay, so when you receive a bodhicitta teaching, you need to double check. As Adisha has guided, whether they are teaching or giving the explanation as a paramita system or not. We need to stay in one system, not freestyle. Many of us, we do practice freestyle. So it is like, oh, I like this practice so much, can you give this teaching to me? Not like, I wanted to complete this like Adisha, and how can we do that? That isn't our concern. Our concern is more like, when I hear this teaching, I really love it, fall in love with this teaching. Wow, that's so amazing. You decide that. And on the top of that, bad news, you also have a kind of a hold to the position saying that I am under the sway of negative emotion and under the sway of self-grasping and self-cherishing, and then you make quite a statement saying, I like this kind of decision what I made. So it is so necessary that staying in this system of the teaching becomes number one. And then this is why even great Adisha, who has a remarkable practices on bodhicitta and compassion, and then still to stay in this system of the paramita, he traveled all the way from India to Siling in Morajambi place. And then when he go back to Tibet, each and every time he says, today I have this positive thought that due to the kindness of the Lama Silingpa, that is coming to me. Because each and every time where he practices, this practice is held by bodhicitta, which he got active on this island. So this is something very important that we need to keep in our mind. Now sun is on our head, so I think it's to 10 o'clock, right?
About,
Yeah?
will be good. So
Yeah. So now I have spoken a lot, and now just give yourself like maybe 10 minutes. I give you a silence moment. Connect what I just spoke, 1,000 words, but now put that in a very short sentence. Within these 4 or 5 days left, I will use this time, energy that on this island, how Adisha has spent a time, day and night. He tried to look into his mind, and especially this self-cherishing mind, which we think it's so great, but which really takes our all energy to help someone else, even your kid. You feel helpless sometimes. But even the real solution is there in front of you, which you cannot take these chances, is because of the self-cherishing mind, which is saying, I'm not good, I'm not enough. We stop searching for the next Gadi Gadi, Theata Gadi Gadi, Paragadi, Parasamgadi. Why not this flow is not there? Because we put limited there through our self-cherishing mind. So try to connect that and then try to feel within these 5 days we put some kind of emphasis to generate the bodhicitta on this precious island. And then even we cannot generate bodhicitta right away, but we put all kind of causes and right causes and conditions together. So then one day we could say, with our omniscient mind, with our clairvoyance, saying, thousands of years ago, I went to Morajampi and make this prayer. So now this bodhicitta, why I have hit, start from that precious island. So we need to put that kind of a thought today. So give yourself a moment for 10 minutes. Thank you. Now if you, while meditating, I'm 100% sure that you have heard the birds, the insects. Some might say it's sinking. But now at the time of when we are meditating here, it sounds like they are using their tones, their language to reach to us to say, we are really suffering. So they wanted to use this kind of language to reach to us. So we need to feel this, and then we have to make such a kind of commitment, like somehow once I get the real antidote to myself, I'm definitely going to share this with you. Unless I don't find it, how I'm going to help you? So now these are like our children, and we are like a mother and father. Like remember in Antarctica, this Iceland, Arctic,
Oh, yeah, Antarctica.
yeah, Antarctica, the penguins, they hold their baby. The father used to hold this, mother used to go and search for food. So we are like the mother here. The father is like the emptiness, wisdom. The mother is to look for all the solutions. So now this is for bodhicitta. So we need to have this kind of two, as a two wings or two methods together to fulfill your seven sentient beings. That's why we say the king like bodhicitta is the most powerful one. So thank you, and let's rejoice, dedicate that. And I wanted to, on the first day, I wanted to thank Ruth Institute for organizing this retreat and the picnic-like retreat mixture for organizing this and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak a little about my whatever I learned from my teachers, from His Holiness and my teachers, so which I can share with you. And today's special Rigong Khen Rinpoche is here with us. So fortunate, not just me talking, but there's a respectful master here. But now, as he's as a witness, and we all bring our practice together for the remaining 4 or 5 days, and then after that, whatever you do, it's your own decision. Okay, thank you very much. Changju Simju Rembo Maje Banam Jejo Yewa Yamba Meba Yang Gone Gondo Bebra Sho Changju Simju Rembo Maje Banam Jejo Yewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gondo Bebra Sho Changju Simju Rembo Maje Banam Jejo Yewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Gondo Bebra Sho Sonam Deye Tamje Seba Ye Gomban Gyönji Chan Du De Kadan Nadan Chive Lao Chu De Sive Sole Lowa Drevara Kanrizhabe Kowe Shingansu Fernandewa Malej Jere Sewan Tenzin Jazo Ye Shabe Side Bado Denjo Je Gewa Kundo Yanda Lama Dan Dreme Chöje Bela Longje Je Sadan Lam Doje Change Goban Yulo Sho. Okay, thank you. Thank you. There's a